Joining me right here in Delhi, it gives us great pleasure to welcome Mr. Shankar Bajpai, who's of course national. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what all I should say: ambassador to the US, ambassador to Pakistan, ambassador to China, National Security Advisory Board, and a number of other things. So gives us great pleasure to have you here with us. Praveen Swami has been tracking Hafiz Saeed for a long time, haven't you? Right from the time you were about 6 years old, you've been tracking Hafiz Saeed. So you know all about him. And we're going to get your views on it. Joining us from Islamabad, Major General Rashid Qureshi, former spokesperson of the PMLQ, and Hamid Mir joining us as well, Bureau Chief of NDTV. Major General Qureshi, if I could just start with you. Essentially what the court seem to be saying is that really you don't have too much evidence to hold him anymore. The point that is coming across from here in India very closely is, did the government really make all the efforts that it should have and could have to paint a stronger case, or did it almost deliberately paint a slightly weak case against Hafiz Saeed?
First of all, I was never the spokesman for PMLQ. Yes, I was the spokesperson for President Musharraf, and that was it. Well, however, to answer your question, I am not 100% aware of what the government did in preparing this case and how it was fought in the High Court. However, it seems that the case was weak, and that's why the court decided that there wasn't enough evidence to hold Hafiz Saeed. Having said that, I heard the comments that one of your correspondents made from Lahore, and I think she's very right there. We've also heard that the government of Punjab is going to go into appeal against this decision. But if we take a few steps back, I would like to ask, after what happened in Bombay, that dastardly incident in which a lot of people lost lives, whatever evidence India gave Pakistan, I'd like you to ask, was there evidence against Hafiz Saeed? Frankly, if there was,
evidence
then
against
I can
Hafiz
understand.
Saeed has been produced now. Evidence against Hafiz Saeed has actually been produced now for the better part of the last 10 years. It's nothing new. And in fact, to just answer that question, let's get in my panelists out here. Praveen, how much evidence has there been found against Hafiz Saeed? Over the last 10 years, there's nothing new. It's not, we haven't suddenly woken up today and said he's the head of a terrorist organization.
No, and one of the things that makes it a little easier to make this assertion is these aren't Indian claims. Some of the most compelling evidence on acts of terrorism in which Hafiz Saeed has had a role comes from Hussain Haqqani, who is now Pakistan's ambassador to Washington, D.C. In his book, he details the activities of this organization as well as the Pakistani establishment's role in sustaining them. You have United States Treasury Department reports talking directly about Hafiz Saeed's role in training and dispatching terrorists. And of course, you have United Nations Security Council, which arrived at its decision not on the basis of some vague claim, but a very large mass of evidence.
Mr. Ambassador, do you think the case could have been made stronger by the Pakistan? In other words, was it a deliberately weak case?
I think we should see this in a larger perspective. Quite frankly, the law's loopholes are not worth any attention. We needed to see some sign that Pakistan was seriously believing what it claims, that it too is a victim of terrorism. That is a myth, by the way, that has been projected all over the world. It is a victim of terrorism, but of its own creation.
Okay,
not the agents who act against it, I presume, are not state-sponsored. The agents who act against us are state-sponsored.